also simulcast on local television. Then we will go to the Pan Mass Challenge update from our friend Susan Brogan. At 6:35, we will call a public hearing for Mass Electric Company, DBA, National Grid, and Verizon for its request for permission to locate poles, wires, and fixtures across the following public way: Arnold Road, National Grid to install one JO pole on Arnold Road, beginning at a point of 109 feet. And then we will move on to department reports. Tonight, that's just going to be the DPW. We're not having a water and sewer department report, as listed on the agenda. Then we will go to a town administrator update. And then we'll move to action items, which include consideration and possible action on the amendment of the Stormwater Management Regulations, Chapter 8, Section 14, Item D1, G2, which we will take out of order and do with Heather right after her department report. And then we will move to consideration and possible action on issuance of a block party permit to Mary Bridget Burns of 13 Stony Brook Drive. And then we will move to for August 23rd, 2025. Then we'll move to consideration and possible action on authorizing the town administrator to sign a 2-year contract with the town website managed company Civic Plus Master Services Agreement for approximately $20,552.76. Then we'll move to consideration and possible action on the Sturbridge joining the Central Mass Regional Emergency Communication Center. Then we'll move to consideration and possible action on the inclusion of alternate dates of August 27th and 28th for a one-day liquor license that issued to Altruist Brewing Company for concerts on the Common, subsequent to a canceled or rain-delayed event. And then we'll move to consideration and possible action on the acceptance of the resignation of Nicole Darouge from the police department effective June 10th, 2025. And we'll move to old business, new business, correspondence, approval of minutes, citizens forum, and adjourn. So with that, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to just take a moment of silence. There's a lot of talk in the world these days, but I just want to again send a prayer to peace in the Ukraine and a safe Europe. So please just take a moment of silence. Thank you. Public service announcements. Having noted that this meeting is being recorded, Mary Lou, do you have any?
Yes. The town of Sturbridge has formed a committee for the 250th celebration. The committee has committed to a parade on June 27th, and what we need are a ton of volunteers, because to do something of this magnitude, it's going to take a lot of people. And we're also looking for any nonprofits, any businesses, any community people that are interested in building a float to be included in the parade. We're more than welcome to that. And also antique vehicles, not hot rods, not things from the 50s, antique, like older than me.
Okay, anything else?
No, that's it.
Mary Dallin?
No, can I ask her a question on her thing?
Sure.
Who should they contact if people are listening and want to volunteer?
Right now, we're in the middle of, our secretary is putting together a Gmail.
So Francis for now.
In the short term.
Yes, in the short term, you can contact Francis, but hopefully, knowing Megan by tonight, we'll probably have a Gmail out there.
Well, that's so good though to keep the town administrator's office, just because that way the left and right hand knows what's going on. So.
Well, right now we have on the town website, it's sturbridge.gov/250th Anniversary Committee. So there's information there also.
Perfect. Okay. Anything else? No. Mary Blanchard, anything?
No.
And I have nothing. All right, Pan Mass Allens. Thanks.
Thank you for letting me come before you one last time. It's bittersweet. We're leaving Sturbridge after 45 years of starting in Sturbridge. I just told Chief Dessert we just got our survey compilations back from riders, and overall the Pan Mass received a 92% rating out of 100. So good weather always helps. But Sturbridge was a big part of it. Sturbridge received a standing ovation at opening ceremonies, and I just want to thank the town for over 4 decades of cooperation and help and good feelings, and from Tim Malloy, who pitched in and drove a bus for us one year because we were short a shuttle driver, and Chief Ford to Chief Desert, and now Robin. Sturbridge has been exemplary and a wonderful partner, and we will certainly miss you.
We'll miss you too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I know you have a busy agenda.
Thank you for all the work. No, we appreciate the
When you're
Pam
ready to come
Eshel.
back, Paul.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
I just said it, I couldn't resist.
Signed a 3-year contract.
Okay, well, we'll see you in 28.
You can't chase too hard, Rob. Okay. All right. So it is 6:35. So there is a public hearing, Mary, if you wouldn't mind. Sure.
Mass General Election, Massachusetts, wow, Electric Company, doing business as National Grid, and Verizon New England requests permission to locate poles, wires, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the following public way: Arnold Road, National Grid to install one JO pole on Arnold Road beginning at a point approximately 109 feet south of the center line of the intersection of Arnold Road and Cooper Road, installing one pole for new residential service, Arnold Road, Sturbridge, Mass. The poll hearing will take place on Monday, August 18, 6:35 p.m., Sturbridge Town Hall, 2nd floor, Veterans Memorial Hall in Sturbridge.
All right. Great. Come on down. And if you could just identify yourself for the record.
Hi, my name is Robert Williams. I work with National Grid.
All right. So what's going on, Robert?
So National Grid is petitioning the town of Sturbridge to install one pole on Arnold Road for a service to a new house that's being built.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. Questions from the board? Thoughts, concerns? Okay. This is a public hearing. Does anybody from the public want to comment? No, seeing none. Okay. Does anybody have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? You guys have it. Does anybody have a motion on the substance?
Okay, I'll make a motion to grant National Grid the right to install 1 JO pole on Arnold Road beginning at the point approximately 109 feet south of the center line of the intersection of Arnold Road and Cooper Road. This installation is one pole for a new residential service.
Great. Do we have a second?
Second.
Great. All those in favor? Great. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. Have a good one. We'll see you soon. All right. All right, Heather, come on down.
Oh, you don't have the new staple?
Good
Oh,
evening.
no, I do.
Hey, Heather.
Yeah.
So, as Mary pointed out earlier, I haven't been here since April, so I guess there's a lot has happened. We do no longer have snow, we have heat, but everything in general is going pretty well. We have been working pretty diligently in different projects, trying to get caught up. We are still 2 people short right now, in-house, plus a permitting engineer. We're still short of that too. So that has been hampering us a little bit from getting some of our bigger projects out to bid. We're working really well with the engineers right now on the sidewalk project on Cedar Street. That goes to conservation next week. The plans for the easements are almost done, which has really been taking up a little bit of my time there. So we will be getting that project out on the street this fall to get those sidewalks in, hopefully right before winter, so.
And I want to emphasize that this is just phase 1. We have a lot of neighbors who ask me about further up the street. If you
Correct.
just say exactly where we're going to.
The
on
first
this
phase is from Route 20 to Burgess School Road. Second phase will be from Burgess School Road to Cedar Pond Road and down to Cedar Rec. Notices did go out for the conservation area for that second phase because it included permitting and engineering and permitting, which they're at the permitting stage, so both projects are on for conservation coming up. Just so if people are confused, yes, we are doing the permitting for that second phase, which was part of the original contract for the engineer, which is normal. But so we'll be ready for construction and ready to start talking about easement with those residents after we get the first phase done.
Great. That makes sense.
And any questions on my reports?
I don't think so. All right.
I think that was the big thing. And I will say, I apologize for Shane not being here. He had a family emergency.
That's okay.
Took him out. If there is anything on his report, I will just tell you in general, the water department plant is running fine. We just finished the upgrade on the first filter that we did. We'll be putting off the other two until fall because of water needs in the summer are greater. The wells seem to be working fine. We've been working with DEP. We had an issue in one of our wells, but we're getting that addressed, and DEP's been very flexible on our water usage in well 4, which we have some limits on that, but they've been working with us so that we were able to make sure we had enough water. At the wastewater treatment plant, we did a project right in June to empty out one of the chemicals that they've been using for treatment, but we kind of started to suspect it being a problem with our CBOD. I know he's been talking about that, and our CBOD limits bouncing up and down. Knock on wood, so far since we've done that project, and we cleaned out the tank and put new chemical in. Chemicals can concentrate. Since they did that, the results have been really good. The plant's running like a charm, and we haven't been seeing the CBOD issues. Knock on wood, so that's, I think, the two big highlights he would tell you.
Sure.
The other thing on the water plant is we did have that notice that came from DEP, and there was a non-compliance issue. That non-compliance issue has already been addressed and taken care of. They got right on it, reconnected the plumbing, water, brought it in. I will tell you that the plant's been like that since it's been built, so for them to come now and tell us that they wanted it was a little strange,
And there was
but
no risk to water supply for the public.
no, it
had
was
nothing
just,
to do with
it
water
was
supply.
non-potable water just for the bathroom, basically, in there. And they had potable water there that they could drink. They just, they were trying to check, making it meet code, per se. Okay, so on all the other things, we're working with DEP to put a schedule together to address, but none of them are non-compliance issues. They're just recommendations or things they want to see changed.
Okay. Mary, you have a question?
Are you done your reports? Oh, no, I'm going to bring this up really under old business because I know we have a big agenda, so but I don't want to blindside you because it will probably pertain to the DPW.
Do you want to talk about the,
What's just the topic?
The topic is going to be, and I took some pictures, 2 weeks ago under new business, I said the amount of weeds along, hold on, can I just, okay. The amount of weeds on Route 20, I've got a lot of pictures that I'd like to share with the board, and I'm going to leave them with you, Robin, are just really inexcusable. The weeds on Route 20 and the median strip, the sidewalks have all weeds, there's overgrowth. And I know 2 weeks ago, you had indicated we'll be on it, and, it's 2 weeks later. And like I said, well, hold on. We're not on it because 2 weeks has passed and we haven't done anything about it. So I'm going to talk about it into old business.
Well,
but it shows.
Hold on a second. So let's just do it now because I
Okay.
don't want to hold Heather till.
Oh, no, I don't want her to stay.
Yes, well, but she probably is going to want to.
I think I have some of the answers, so.
So why don't we just, it's close enough to the
Okay, so
agenda
I will
item, Mary,
just.
so why don't we
Okay, let me
get into it now?
All right, so it's not just visual bite. It sends a message that we don't maintain our town. We don't put the funding in. And I don't think it's fair to businesses because businesses do their best to have their area clean and neat. We've got, weeds growing everywhere. And I know it's the Mass DOT, it's a state highway, but I've heard that a number of times now. And I think, Mr. Blanchard also said when those sidewalks went in, they said they're not going to plow them, that it was going to be left up to us. And so in the winter, we had the problem with the ice and snow. Now there's weeds growing all along there. And they're going to go away in October, just like at our houses. But guess what? Next year, they're going to be back and they're going to be worse. And so I took pictures, and I do want the board to look at them, because it's not just this summer. I think some of these weeds are super tall, and we can put money, into Welcome to Sturbridge with some flowers, and then the rest is all weeds. I'm going to pass them around, and I also, now this is not, and I know we're down 2 workers, and so maybe, I don't know how we address the funding to have it happen, but I think our chair said a couple of weeks ago, we just have to make it happen, and we can't keep saying it's the Mass DOT. I brought up a number of weeks ago, now this is beautification, it goes beyond the weeds, but I had said what it looks like in Worcester, and I verified that Route 9 is a mass highway, and it runs through the city of Worcester, and they've got Shrewsbury Street, which is really their tourist area because that's where all their best restaurants are, and it's beautiful. Now, if the Mass DOT is doing that for them, I don't like the disparate treatment, but we all know it's the city of Worcester finding a way to maintain them, even though it's state. So I'm going to pass around some of these, and this is what I was talking about, and I know we're not going to get trees, but their median strip all the way down is beautiful.
Sure.
And that I would like to, maybe even Sturbridge Tourist Association, once we get the weeds taken care of, might invest some of their funding towards it. But this is what, and I took pictures starting from 84 when you first get off, all the way down. So some of them look redundant, but they're at different points along the way. And if people just want to look, these are the sidewalks. The sidewalks are awful, awful.
But let's.
I know, I'm
point.
frustrated because I've brought this up so many times, and it's worse than it was when I first joined this board.
With its, there's some buckets here, so let's keep it focused.
Okay.
So the initial point is that there's a short-term issue where there is a beautification problem. Route 20, nobody needs to see pictures of that to realize that's the issue. Then the other points, Mary, which are fair in terms of the longer-term projects, it should be a point of continuing conversation, but I think let's just focus on the initial point here. So Heather, and again, the point of this is not to bring anybody to task. The point of it is just how do we make this so we don't have to deal with it anymore? Because it really is, Mary's points are all fair, in my opinion.
And so I did get the message from Robin right after the meeting on that Tuesday. I reached out immediately to Mass DOT because in order for me to do any work on Mass DOT, the town has to get a permit. So I reached out to the permitting department right away and I said, listen, this is a situation, how do I do this? This is what I think I would need.
Yes.
And I heard back, that was a Tuesday, I heard back Friday, Monday I got back to him. And his response back to me was, well, tell me what you want to do again, get me a list of the area, send me some pictures, but, he said to me, but that's Mass DOT's job. That is not the town's job, and you shouldn't be closing the road down to be able to do that work. So send me the pictures and I'll reach out. At the same time, we reached out to the local garage, Mass DOT garage. We have a local garage here, and we do work with them. And, something will happen, the sign's down that's there, as we communicate with them often. So we went to them. He said, let me look into it. He looked into it. He's been reaching out to his superiors because it was supposed to be cleaned. He has said to them, it's not been cleaned, it's not been de-weeded, like they said to him, well, it's been done once in the spring. He's like, no, it was never done. Even he was saying, no, it was never done. And even he is saying, it looks horrible, there's 4-foot weeds there. So we're trying to work on it from both angles, but I have been told by the permitting people that I can't have my guys out there because it's a safety concern. I would need permits. There's all those things. The sidewalks are a different story. We are working with them. It's still safety. What we have said to them is, can we have your aero truck, which we have to schedule with them, so that we can have that following behind the guys so nobody gets hit by rocks and hits by other debris while they're doing it. It is still, we have to be cautious about how we do it, but we are trying to get it scheduled. They thought they had it scheduled for tomorrow. Something happened. They can't do it tomorrow. So we will be working on the sidewalk weeds, trimming them back. We've been wanting to do it, but it is a scheduling thing that we still have to work with Mass DOT to get their truck.
Okay, may I be allowed to comment? Okay, I've got plenty of pictures. I've got about 30 pictures. They're yours. You can show them to Mass DOT. This is an ongoing maintenance issue. We should have had whatever permits we needed addressed, hold on, Heather, years ago. It's like we shouldn't have to bring these things up. This should be part of maintenance. If you needed the Mass DOT permission or permits, we should have had them. Whatever. This was a problem last year. It was the same way with all of these weeds. This isn't something new, like, oh, let's address the weeds. This has been an ongoing thing for a few years now. And I'm glad we looked into it, but this should have been automatically looked into without needing to bring it up. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know what the city of Worcester did, but clearly they got whatever permits they needed to make Route 9 a state highway with their median strip look amazing. And we are having difficulty even figuring out if we can put weed killer down. I'm sorry, I just don't, I think this answer is really late in the game. That's what I
Be
think.
that as it may, we're at the stage of the game that we're in right now. And it sounds, and I don't disagree with any of that necessarily, Mary, but it also sounds as if, so the basic thrust of this at this juncture is that the request has been in for the sidewalks. They're going to be handled in relatively short order in advance of the leaf season, and we're going to take all steps that we can to have the same done for the median strip, and we're going to get creative on ways to short circuit this, including call Todd Smolow's office, a higher trooper detail, because I'll tell you right now, the state troopers will turn down and shut down Route 20 whenever the fuck they whenever they want to. But it is the truth, and I'm not saying it as a point of admonishment, but the reality of this is that Mary's right. This is a bunch of BS. It is just like permitting. They don't run the roads. The troopers run the roads. Hire a trooper detail if we got to. Just let's get this done, because it shouldn't have to be. And again, it is difficult dealing with the state. You get paralyzed, and that is exactly the frustration why I accidentally swore, because it is a real point of frustration engaging with them. And it isn't fair for it to be the face of it, Heather, because we all understand it. We've all dealt with it in different departments, but it's also like we can't get entrenched within the business as usual. That's just because it's because Beacon Hill is getting worse. They're not getting any better. This isn't going to get better. So we have to push these agendas. We have to move things forward, and that's true for all of us. It's not remarkable to you, we get that it's not easy. So sounds like there's progress here. The progress is real. We're going to get address it. Let's get the median strip cleared for leaf peeping. There shouldn't be an issue. Is that a good goal? Everybody agree with that as being a...
I would encourage you guys, because you have more power than me with Todd, to reach out to him. And
Right.
We will, but I do feel like,
And I'll use some of those choice
I'm
words I
gonna
used earlier.
forward, I am going to forward to you the response that Heather got from DOT. I want you to see, it may not matter to you,
Understood.
but you need to see
I'm not saying
it.
it doesn't matter to me, but
You need to see what we're
it's not
facing.
anything novel, is what I'm trying to say. And we are in the middle of August, and this happened last year too. And so we could have pursued it last year, last April. This is nothing new. This is a problem that we've had for several years.
And it's a well-made point, and it's been resoundingly made, and I think it's time to move the meeting.
Thank you.
So Heather, let's go on to item A, which is consideration and possible action on the amendment of the Stormwater Management Regulations, Chapter 8, Section 14, Item B1G2.
so it's one very simple change. Our current regulation says 80%, and the new MS4 permit requires that to be 90%. So all we need is that change, and it was a regulatory change that has kind of just slipped for a couple of years that we didn't realize it only said 80 and needed to be 90. But someone
does it mean?
reviewing it caught it, and we need to make that change.
So what's the substance of it, Heather?
So it's basically, it's 90% removal of the average annual load of total suspended solids. What our regulation currently reads is 80%. The new EPA, our new EPA MS4 permit requires us to have a bylaw that says, a regulation that says 90% for new construction.
So it's just that it's pulling more for when things are built.
Correct.
Okay, any questions from the board? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
All right. All those in favor? The ayes have it. Thank you, Heather. Have a great night, okay?
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
Okay, moving on. Robin,
Yep, this is a block party permit to Mary Bridget Burns of 13 Stony Brook. I believe Ms. Burns is here, and she has done this before. Police and fire have signed.
yeah, sure, if you want to tell everybody what's going on, Mary.
Signed off.
To add to the quote of Marys.
Another Mary.
Now we have a quorum.
Yes. But good evening. Many thanks, first of all, to Robert and Barbara Bucknell, my neighbors, and I have other neighbors. There's about a dozen school-aged children on our street of 9 houses, so they're eating dinner. But they send their well wishes and thank everyone for considering this application. We wanted to do it through the right channels. Thank you, Francis and Robin, for the many emails. I don't know what questions you might have, but we think we've had members of the police force come and have some hot dogs, and that's always fun. And
There you go.
yeah, oh yeah, yes. We don't exactly close the road. We grab a couple garbage cans, usually Robert, and just so that the kids can do it's a dead-end street, as you may know, and they can run races and play, and we all kind of hang out. Happy to address any questions. I
No.
hope it happens all over Sturbridge, but
It sounds great. I don't think we have any questions. We hope you have a good time. I'll make a motion to approve the authorizing the block party permit to Mary Bridget Burns of 13 Stony Brook Drive on August 23rd, 2025. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
thank you very
All
much.
right,
Come
thank
on
you.
down.
Thank
We'll be
you.
glad to have you.
It's nice neighborhoods still do this. Not everybody does.
Oh,
You
they
don't
all
have-
should. Thank you, though. It's
Well, my neighborhood has every Thursday we have a band. All right, so, all right, moving on. Consideration and possible action authorizing the town administrator to sign a 2-year contract with the town website management company Civic Plus Master Services Agreement for approximately $20,552.76.
So we're already under contract with this, and we've actually already paid the first year of this contract. This is really an amendment. We're being offered they're changing platforms on their website design. Our website needs to be redesigned. It's not user-friendly, and they are advancing the quality of web design that they're offering. As such, they're offering it to us at a reduced rate of whatever that figure was in there, the 9,000 versus 14 or 15,000 down the road. So I'm proposing that we accept that reduced rate to do it now, and it's incentivizing to stay with the second year of the contract, basically. So it's a contract we already have with our provider. It just allows us now to have a web design, a new web design, and a much reduced rate to get it done.
All right, so it's gonna get cleaned up and.
Cleaned up, we're
It's
gonna
the
put
same
it-
vendor and it's 2 years for 20,000, for both years?
A total, it's the total of the
Yeah,
contract.
so 10, yeah, okay.
And I will probably we're gonna put a team together of staff who deals with the website, and if a member of the board wants to join that as well, to just have input on web design, or wants to email me ideas or thoughts, we're just gonna put people together who use it a lot. Francis does a lot of uploading, different departments will put people together who do a lot of uploading, Janae, people like that. And if anybody from the board is interested in just being part, or just individually send me thoughts or ideas, I would accept that greatly.
Yeah, we might want to see if someone from the community wants to do
Yep.
it, just because
Yeah, I'd
maybe
like
do
a
it as a board
community
appointee.
voice. Yep.
Because, I mean, I guess I could do it, I guess I have a website, but it seems like someone who's more specialized in that would make more
We have
sense.
a few citizens who might even be interested,
Yeah,
in
that's
certainly
why-
in
that's
helping
why.
us out.
That'd be great. Okay, do we have any thoughts, concerns on that item? Do we have a motion either way?
I'll make a motion to authorize the town administrator to sign a 2-year contract with town website management company Civic Plus Master Services Agreement for approximately $20,552.76. Period.
Great.
Second.
All those in favor? Thanks, Mary Lou. Great. All right, moving on to consideration and possible action on the town of Sturbridge joining the Central Massachusetts Regional Emergency Communication Center. You guys, come on down.
So I'm going to let them all introduce themselves, and then I'll do a brief presentation.
Sounds
And
good.
we have questions
All
at the
right.
end.
You got enough chairs? Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Okay, if we could just have everybody say who they are for the people in TV land.
Peter Pierce, Director of Special Projects, Massachusetts State 911 Department.
Great.
Mike Moriarty, Executive Director, Central Mass Regional 911 District.
Elizabeth DeFosi, Central Mass Regional Deputy Director.
Colby, sir.
You almost forgot who he was.
And our fire chief.
We'll have a cue card for you.
I know, we'll write it down on a
Teleprompter.
paper for you next night.
John Grasso, Fire Chief.
All right, so
So
Robin,
thank
go
you-
ahead.
Thank you. When I came on board, there had already been an article passed at town meeting to do a feasibility study to upgrade our communications, because our communications are woefully behind. There had been a consultant on board. He had done some preliminary research on needs assessment, and they were tossing around a $5 million figure for this work about 3 years ago. We struggled with that particular consultant because he didn't want to follow Massachusetts procurement. He'd done it different ways in other parts of the country, didn't seem to understand that Massachusetts procurement works a certain way. So we then brought in somebody else, and we worked with our current radio vendor to get an updated needs assessment. It looks like we would probably be close to $6 to $7 million for proper operational, good, successful radio service in the town. That's just a little bit of a preliminary. In the meantime, I was approached, and I brought it to you guys, that we wanted to support a feasibility study for Auburn, Charlton, Southbridge, Spencer, and Sturbridge to potentially create their own regional. That feasibility study happened. I want to give you a little background of what came out of that feasibility study, and then a little change in direction from what we were originally talking about. So, do I have a clip that I can see? Yeah, it's easier that way. Oops, then I went too fast. Back. Can you do that one? So, you clicked before I knew. So just generally, the town of Spencer had commissioned this study with the 4 neighboring community. We wanted to look at the efficacy of creating a regional center with those communities. Data collection, they used those five communities, and they reviewed all sorts of things: personnel, staffing, call incidents, technology, collective bargaining, all the things that we knew would come into play on this. And all of this is in that report that I wrote for you, that memo that I wrote for you all. Key findings: all 5 of those PSAPs have effective collaboration with neighbors. We all sort of work together. 4 of the 5 have limited advancement opportunities because of their size. We don't, and none of them had 24/7 supervision, which was kind of an important find that we had. A couple of policies and procedures. The other thing is the PSAPs, and these all had walk-up duties, recording duties, responder scheduling, all ancillary tasks that, if frankly they were busy dispatching, if that happened simultaneously in these small departments, they'd sort of have to be dual tasking or leave the window uncovered. Big thing is vacancy and turnover. Finding dispatchers is not easy. It's in fact extremely difficult to keep them. Sturbridge has turned over, oops, sorry for the typo, turned over 13 employees over the past 5 years. And generally, they work a lot of hours, and there's a lot of overtime, but we can't always find people who want to take the overtime anymore. So staffing is a huge issue. A couple of findings for facilities. They were all vulnerable, lacking essential infrastructure and security measures necessary for 911. Certainly don't want to go into great detail on that, but they are not as secure as a centralized center would be. None were housed in hardened facilities, don't have redundant systems, and none have the capacity for future expansions where they're located. So workspaces are cramped and tight, and if we had to grow or add, we really don't have the room. None of the 5 had the room. Our options. So quickly, what we began was looking at the establishment of a new regional communication, join an existing regional, or stay with our current model. Tonight, I'm actually proposing that we join an existing. This was formerly the Rutland Regional Dispatch. It is now the Central Massachusetts Regional Emergency Communications Center. They are represented here this evening. And a couple of the benefits. So, big thing, it eliminates the occurrences of only having 1 or 2 telecommunicators on duty. Balances staffing across the region, 24/7 supervision over these services. We know if a major crisis comes in, it can get a bit chaotic, and supervision is actually not a bad thing to have. Staffing shortages, as I've mentioned, workspace. We will have specialized fire police dispatchers who will be trained primarily in those areas and can work appropriately. We're not fighting with each other to cherry pick employees, which is kind of a good one. And then better training, more consistency, and then we leverage investments because we're common investments in certain infrastructure. So we can get more bang for our buck if we're all combining our resources. One thing I want to highlight is that dedicated dispatchers by function. The figure we had was 4 police dispatchers, 3 fire and EMS, and 24/7. So those numbers may morph depending on how many people come in. Obviously, if more communities come in, those numbers may change. But it's going to provide far greater service than what we currently have. I'll talk a little bit about the money. Right now, our salaries and benefits are $530,000. We also spend about $25,000 for software upgrades. The operation, I'm not going to pitch this to you at all on operational cost savings. We will talk about capital cost savings. There will be some operational cost savings, but the reality is that's on the operational end, that's not the primary driver. Operationally, it's performance. But to give you a sense of what it does with our budget, we don't want our police station to ever be dark. So if we take the dispatchers out, sometimes they're the only ones that we're guaranteed to have in the building. And so we would hire a clerical staff, and we would have a lead clerk during the day who would do all the coordination of all of that. Clerical would handle the window, would assist in report writing, would assist in all sorts of anything that's needed in the station, but basically would oversee the night clerks. And then we would have a rotating staff of night clerks. We did a little bit of an estimate on what we would propose those for salaries. They would be relatively low-paying positions compared to dispatch positions. We figured very comfortably salary and benefits would be about $385,000. So there'd be a savings of approximately $170,000 that we could put toward our regional contribution down the road. So again, I'm not pitching this as a long-term cost savings, just giving you a sense that we are putting money toward it. We're saving money on one end to put it toward this. This is the big cost savings, approximately $7 million. Our infrastructure is woefully inadequate. Additional towers and equipment will put a burden on the town. We would need to borrow or put a debt service or debt exclusion. There's going to be a direct impact on the taxpayers. We cannot absorb $7 million in our budget. It's not a free cash option. It is not something we can put as a debt service that we can eat. It would cause an override, but it's critically important. And this will allow us to completely avoid that cost. How does this work? The state incentive grant, they will cover all of the infrastructure upgrades, 100% of the infrastructure upgrades. That $7 million is off the table for us. Our radios, all of that equipment gets covered by the state grants. For us, for the first 3 years, if we join, we go in for free. 100% is covered. So we are not paying dispatch at all. We will only be paying for the clerical staff now that we will add on into the police station. In year 4, we pay 75%. In year 5, we pay 35%. Starting in year 6, we would have an assessed annual fee for the remaining of that regional center. And that's when it would kick in that we would then be paying a dispatch cost, if you will.
So wait, what on that note, what is the 100% amount?
We have that figure, 270, did you say? Right now, if it depends on how
About
many.
217,000.
Right.
17 or 70?
17.
Okay.
And that's with the current groups in now, basically. The more that join, the lower some of that cost may actually be, because it'll.
Yeah, could fluctuate.
What's the infrastructure on the Rutland building? I think that was what, 2011 that was created?
On that building?
Yeah, with the structure.
Yeah, that structure cannot handle this group coming in.
Okay, so where are they moving to? Maybe I'm skipping ahead and interrupting.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Can we go to those two? Yeah, we'll get those all.
Yeah, because I have the same
Yeah,
questions.
those are all going to
but
be the same
you gotta-
questions, yeah. So staffing and oversight, all of our current dispatchers who wish to apply for employment will be considered and given priority. And depending on the order that we join, it's possible that, I think Spencer joined. Whatever order we go in, priority would be given, but it is likely that all who want jobs will likely get jobs. And they will have more opportunity for growth because there'll be more supervisory positions. Each community that joins the regional has 2 representatives on the board, or 3 actually, right? 1 administrative, yeah, it's 3, I'm sorry. one administrative, and it's 2 operational, police and fire chief both sit on the board, so I just didn't update that. So we would all have, we would have voice on this and a vote.
Wait, can you go back? Because you're going really fast for me. I'm sorry. So what is our representation again?
Our representation would be my position or designee, and the police and fire chief. It's 2 separate boards. They have an administrative board, and then separately an operations board. The police and fire chief would sit on the operations board, and presumably town administrator or designee, but I would sit as the operation, or the
So the
administrator.
slide's incorrect, Mayor. It should
Yeah,
say-
the slide's in error, yes.
And then there's also another finance committee as well, which would then, you would also have one member, either your chief financial officer, that would be a part of that committee as well, which steers the budget for the district.
We have significant representation on it.
Okay, keep going.
Just some concluding thoughts from my end. Regionalization is going to save huge capital costs. Capital life of the equipment is not long. We don't do just one type investments. The other thing we didn't talk about is the workstations, the technology that we have in the police station. We Band-Aid that together. Realistically, those things should be replaced every 6, 7, 8 years. We do our best, but we're basically patched together. They would include the new tower, radio projects, computers, boards, the public safety building, which we have under constant upgrade. We currently provide grant money to cover some of our overtime expenses. If at any point State 911 decided to move that to just regionals, I actually call it the Commonwealth. It really is State 911. It's a separate funding source, and it is not under the auspices of the governor or Boston or Beacon Hill's budget. It is under its own separate budget entity. So if the state totally tanked financially, we still have funding to run this operation through State 911. Regionalization allows for supervising dispatchers to be on. It eases the staffing issues that we have. It is generally an overall better model. In years past, there has been resistance. We want it local. We think people know local streets better. We don't hire local dispatchers. If we have a Sturbridge resident, that's great, but there is no guarantee. Calls come in from cell phones now. The other issue is that we do not have great communication with the state troopers, nor do they with us. So it goes through more steps before our troopers and our own patrolmen are talking. This would alleviate a good portion of that. So I am recommending tonight that we vote to join Central Mass. I do want to move this along. I will say this to you, and I've said this to these guys, we use the proverbial expression, what keeps you up at night? If there is one thing that keeps me up at night working in this town, it is that, and I won't say where, obviously for safety and security reasons, we have a few critical areas in this town where we do not have coverage. And I'm not comfortable with that. I haven't been comfortable since we came. We talk about things that have taken too long, and it's nobody's fault, but this is too long, and I think that the timing on Central Mass sort of coming up and wanting to grow is perfect for us. I look at things on whether they hit on a couple of levels. Does it hit on public safety? Yes, it hits on public safety, and I will defer to both chiefs to talk about that. Does it hit on financial benefit for our community? Yes. If I don't have to put $7 million of capital cost on our taxpayers and I'm getting better service, that's a no-brainer for me. Does it enhance operations for public safety? It hits on that as well. So for me, those are the critical factors. I understand the passion for local dispatch. The reality is the calls don't go that way anymore. And this is really an option that I am strongly recommending that we support tonight.
Okay.
People are all here to answer questions.
That makes sense. And so a couple points. So if we were to elect to do this evening, when would it go live?
So we're looking closer to early of 2027.
And who's the central regulator at the state of this?
On the state side, the Massachusetts State 911 Department,
The highway department?
State 911.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
As far as the center itself, though, it would be the Board of Directors.
Board of Directors, yeah.
Yeah. But fundamentally, the infrastructure is, the state regulator is State 911, and then the regional dispatches fall underneath each of them. Where do the troopers dispatch fall in all of this?
They're The dispatch for the
State
troopers,
troopers, yeah.
they're totally separate from
So they
this.
have, so the troopers have an entirely separate structure. Each of these dispatch groups have other structures. Are there any other pieces of the org chart here that I'm not missing?
Regionals and standalones, no, just regional.
Yeah,
you have your
so, okay.
regional centers, you have your standalone PSAPs, and then you have the troopers.
And how many regionals are in the state right now?
32?
Did you say 32?
Yes, sir.
What was your question, Jamie?
How many regional dispatches are there in the states?
Not many yet. 32 is not a lot.
Say again?
I said that's not as many as I thought.
Well, it depends how many
32.
towns are in each
Right,
of the
I get it.
dispatch centers, right?
Some of them are very large.
I mean, if you say, if it's just like this one, 5 times 32 is half the towns in the Commonwealth. Okay, so, and the building itself is moving from Rutland to where?
So currently, we're exploring an option in Auburn right now. We're hopefully looking to put a letter of intent for purchase on that building, hopefully Wednesday. That's being approved at our next Board of Directors meeting. And then from there, going through the procurement and that part of it.
Okay. Are you at liberty to say what the cost of the building is? It's okay if you're not. Yeah.
It's roughly around 3.5.
3.5, is that what you said? Okay. So it's 3.5 million, and that is, would be a shared asset held by all the communities?
The Board of Directors, yeah. Yep.
So anybody who's on it, that ends up being. So, and then what's gonna be the cost of upgrading that building?
We're not at that point yet, because we can't physically get into the facility and do that analysis of the building yet.
Okay, but from a back of the envelope perspective, what would the ballpark be?
I'm gonna probably be closer between probably 7 to 10
Okay.
in technology.
Okay, so 7 to 10 in technology.
Yep.
And how much of that is the state paying for?
We hope for 100% of that.
So on the
it
state
falls
side,
under-
the main funding mechanism for these regional centers is through the development grant. This last year, we awarded $50 million to those 32 regionals. I know 32 doesn't seem like a large number, but compared to the 351 communities in Massachusetts, cities and towns, there's only 199 PSAPs. So it's actually quite a large amount of towns, as was explained, in these 32 PSAPs, in these 32 regionals. Through the funding of the development grant, it is a competitive grant. Each year has to be applied for by the regional centers. But that funding mechanism isn't available to the single individual PSAPs. You, as the town of Sturbridge, the Sturbridge PSAP cannot apply for these grant fundings. So the $50 million, as was kind of explained and dictated through the radio upgrades, you would be eligible to apply for that upgrade through the grant development that you otherwise would not be available to apply for.
So are these is this legislation already been funded, or does this need to be funded each year as part of the normal budget?
So each year, the grant itself has to be approved by the DTC on the state level.
Okay.
But again, the funding mechanism is such where we're paid, our funding mechanism comes through the surcharge, the 911 surcharge that you see on your cell phone, any device that connects to 911. So again, as was explained, we're separate from any state appropriation. If 5% cut across the board, that doesn't apply to us, because as the statute dictates, as federal statutes dictate, the funding has to be used for public safety through the state 911 department.
Okay, so so that's a helpful question, because, so there's a applicable federal law and/or regulation that requires the surcharges on cell phone carriers to be allocated for public safety dollars, and so consequently, the Commonwealth can't, because even though the money's coming from their coffers, if they're utilizing such a surcharge, that money has to go into the public safety, and in this instance, the 911. Is that fair?
It's moderated through the state 911 department, correct?
Yes,
So it's not like it's through the MPTC
so they
or
can't
DOC,
turn
it's
around
through
and
us.
absorb, like UMass, all of the tuition goes to the Beacon Hill. They don't consider it the college's money. So, okay, but we're not gonna run into that within this particular.
As long as you keep buying the devices.
I think that's probably going to occur. So there's roughly, just kind of going back through it, so it's about a $17 million spend that's anticipated to modernize, but let's call it $20 million for the sake of this conversation. I understand that might be off in real ways, but it's somewhere in that region. So there's a $20 million expenditure that the state, through the surcharges on cell phones, will pay for all the facilities costs, and those grants have been granted for the existence of the Rutland Regional Dispatch, right? Okay, so we don't anticipate the rug getting pulled out from us anytime soon.
Well, and you've seen it across the state, even locally here, Westcom, out in Chicopee, the brand-new building that opened, I want to say a month ago, they had the ribbon-cutting ceremony where that building was funded through the development grant through Westcom Communications Center.
Okay.
Again, the beauty of changing to a district model, because before it was the Rutland Regional Dispatch Center, whereas hosted by the town of Rutland, run by the town of Rutland, they were town of Rutland employees, and it really came down to the town administrator of Rutland being able to make the decisions with the director and through the guidance. But ultimately, as a district, now you do have that seat at the table. You have your board of directors, so all the member communities involved kind of dictate how the operations go. The chiefs are involved, dictate how the operations go in the finance committee as well.
Yeah, so
And through
structurally,
that-
it's more like a school district. More like a
Compared to that,
regional
no.
school district,
Sure.
but it is, it's and I'm just thinking through any of the other sort of budgetary questions here. How many collective bargaining units are involved? Are they organized already? Like, what's the circumstance there?
So we are currently unionized with the Mass Cops. I believe Sturbridge is as well.
No, we're independent.
Sturbridge has their own association.
Auburn, okay, yeah. So there is a few, so I'm sure there's gonna be some kind of impact bargaining down the line. What that's gonna look like, we don't know at this point.
Okay, but I guess my question was more about what, like, the structures are already in place. This
Yep.
is all.
Yep,
the
everything's
bargaining's
already-
all cut up.
Yeah, if I could just, I think it's important to note that they are up and running with 5 towns now?
Correct.
Already with 5 towns, so most of the
Logistical.
legwork
Yeah.
has already been done.
That's helpful too. Okay, I'm gonna ask a couple more questions, and I'm gonna turn over to the board. Chiefs, for getting costs, for getting all that stuff, is there any services concerns, because real fundamentally, the piece that we didn't discuss is we're losing control, which is perhaps fine, but that is the con, if there's a con. So do you have any operational concerns, hurdles, gray areas, challenges, anything like that?
I personally don't. I think this particular model and this particular center is the right center fit for us. We've had, a number of experiences where the number of dispatchers working was significantly less than what should be to handle the call volume that actually happened on certain days. When I started here in 2017, we were in the process of looking at a regional dispatch, and the model wasn't this model, and then Chief Ford and I recommended to the board that we not continue. I fully support moving toward this.
Yeah, I support it as well. With the attrition rate and the way we have a very difficult time, and it's not a Sturbridge thing, it is a nationwide issue, getting public safety employees in, and they come in, takes 3 to 4 months to train, the next thing you know, they're bouncing either to another department, like we said earlier, this one pays a couple dollars more an hour, so attrition, and it's very difficult to get people in. People are not banging down the doors to get in. It's been very challenging to be fully staffed. We do drop down to sometimes 1 dispatcher for days or eves. If we can't fill the shifts, we drop down to 1. And really, we should have 2 all the time. But if we go to 2, then we're forcing people. And you force people, they're like, we don't get forced over here. We're going over there. You know. So I support this. The concept is great to me, and I think it would be much safer for the community.
Okay.
If I could have just
Sure, go
one
ahead,
thing
Rob.
too, and I believe, Mary Lou, you toured the Rutland facility?
I didn't tour the facility. I was there at the presentation in Spencer.
She broke in later.
Yeah, and I think, I thought she'd been in there, but okay. But I will say this, that I have, in the past, I went to the one in, it was Holbrook we talked about, and when I was in Stoughton, and fire ended up moving over there at the time. And I will say that the technology that they have and that they get typically at the regionals, no offense to state 911, but the money's going there. And let's just be honest, the technology is better, the screens, the workstations are phenomenal at the regionals. And so, while initially I was not a fan in years past of getting rid of the local model and moving to regionalization, with dispatch, with the way things are going, with the fact that it's not like the local phone call comes into the police station anymore, that just doesn't even happen. So it's hard to get out of the mindset, but I have to say that this particular model, talking to the chiefs, attending a couple of the meetings, I'm very, very comfortable with this one. In the past, I have not always been comfortable with the concept of regionalizing.
Can I, Jamie, do you mind if I just add some? I don't want to take away from the outstanding work that our current dispatchers do. They are second to none in my eyes. They do a job that I could not do. I'm proud to have them as dispatchers, and one of my biggest concerns was, are they going to be taken care of, or are they going to have employment if this comes through? And we were assured that that would be there.
It's setting them up for success and making it sustainable when, with all public safety employees, that if you get spread too thin, the pressure on them is not sustainable and it's an unfair ask. So, no, I appreciate all their hard work too, and I know this board does. We appreciate all of your hard work on this as well. All right, questions, comments, thoughts from the board?
The Rutland model, when it first started, how many communities were in it?
The Rutland Regional Dispatch Center, when it first started, it was both Rutland and Ocam. That was, I believe, back in 1984. And then the next community that joined was Hubbardston, which I believe was around 2009. And then Barry, 2011, and then Warren in 2018.
Okay, are they all still in it?
All still, yep. And we just had Spencer sign on just recently.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed
We
that.
just had Spencer sign on to the district, I believe, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Spencer was part of our original group.
The feasibility study, I know. So we had, oh, I'm sorry, Mary, you're still looking.
The grants, though, I get very leery grant money from the state. It's always a carrot out there, and somehow the horse gets
Well,
the
so if I
carrot.
could, that's a good point, and if I could address that. Currently, we receive grant money that helps fund our own operation.
Right.
And I won't put him on the spot because it's him who makes that decision, but I am leery of relying on that on a local level going forward. I'm more confident that the central will continue to be funded than I am that our locals. And if we lose that grant money, that helps fund a significant portion of our overtime. Is that what we use that for?
Yeah,
For overtime?
we do.
So we are getting state grant money that is at the whims of some of the people that might be sitting here. But the reality is that the money, that there's no batting an eye at millions going to a regional to upgrade our systems. I am concerned more, to your point about the little local money.
Yeah.
If that dries up, we have to budget more.
Right. Of course, in the problem with the towers, that's always been a problem. And mostly because of the topography that we have. And it's big bucks. Anytime anybody's looked at it, it's really big bucks to address it, if we could.
If I made to that point too, if you look at the numbers, I believe the number originally proposed was $538,000, give or take. That's what is currently being spent. The assessment, if going to Central Mass, is, I believe, 217. So even if there were no state funding, there's still that assessment, which is less than what you're currently paying. Again, the first initiative and the first mindset should be public safety oriented, public safety goal mindset. There is the added benefit in the incentives of the finances, but as far as the public safety, you can't compete. You can't compete with multiple people on. You can't compete with the progression of added positions, added supervisor spots, deputy directors, operations managers, trainers, that sort of thing. Additional grant funding for training, additional training on top of what you would get as a single individual center. the support and incentive. So again, I completely agree with you. You're right. It is something to be leery of, something to be mindful of. But even just the base numbers, there is still that cost savings depending on how the town
But I
incorporates it.
suspect the concern is just more about the rug being pulled out in 2.5 years and then having to figure it out if it has economics change. So that's a control. I'm not suggesting that's the case, but when you give up control, even though putting aside the economics of it, whereas if the state is paying for all the facilities and we don't have to spend $7 to $10 million upgrading our entire radio infrastructure, that's great. But if we find ourselves in 2.5 years just having to spend $11 million on our cell phone infrastructure, that's also problematic. And to be frank, we're here for the earlier part, we can't even get weeds done. So there is some rational points of distrust from communities that aren't new it. So, but with that, Mary, do you
have more, Mary? Just one.
Yeah, but take your time. I mean, I don't want to harp on you at all.
Have there been any or many units that have pulled out of being regionalized?
For Rutland, no.
No, for...
Sure. There have been projects, as discussed, the feasibility studies is usually the first step where a bunch of neighboring communities come together and say, hey, let's look into this. And they either get in the process of continuing that study and either had fallen apart, or once the study's completed and getting to the point of signing the agreement, they've either signed the agreement and one is backed out or what have you. On rare occasion, I can only think of one, to be honest with you, where one was in a regional center, left that regional center, but went to another one. So it's not like they went back to their individual, hosted through their own town. They went from one center to the next.
I think that's a good point as well, because there are we joined this particular regional, but location doesn't matter because of technology. If tomorrow, well, we'd have some agreement, but we could leave and go to Foxborough. It's not like we're now left solo and now we all of a sudden have to find $7 million plus put our dispatch center back together. If something went wrong, there are always other regionals. It just moves us into that model. It doesn't necessarily trap us forever into.
Right, you are signed by the IMI, by the district agreement. And on the state side also, there has to be a clear public safety reason. It can't just be, today is Tuesday and I don't want to be in Rutland. It has to be a clear public safety reason where people are getting hurt.
Okay, I just want to be upfront. I'm not willing to vote tonight. I would like to get this printed out.
Okay.
I mean,
that's fine. I gave you the report. That's why I did the report.
You gave us the background.
Okay, it's the same information, but I'm happy to
Yeah,
give it
but
to you.
this is,
It's a big decision.
Yep.
I think that's logical.
yeah, I'm not going to rush.
I'll start by, I have several questions as well, and I too am not in a position to vote tonight. I'm happy, Chief Dessert, that you did mention that our existing dispatchers are doing a great job. It's no reflection on them, the desire to regionalize, and I know there's tremendous pressure from the state. We were told that several years ago when the then board, it was Mary and I, also were pretty reluctant, and it ended up being the right decision because then Chief Ford came back and said that was not the way to go with that particular region, okay? But now I assume there is an agreement or a contract, a district agreement that we're required to sign in order to become a member of the Central Mass Regional Communication Center, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so I don't know how I personally am going to agree tonight when we didn't see this district agreement. We're told there's a board of directors, you're each going to be on it, she's going to be on one, like all of those things are spelled out in some kind of an agreement. So to me, that was equally as important as being given a list of the pros and how it's organized, because I think Mary touched on a good thing. What if we want, you got to think about the worst case scenario, and it's probably our training, rather than how wonderful it is. What if we want out? And I think that was the point Mary was getting at. And then you said something that interested me. It can't be simply because we want our autonomy back. you indicated that there has to be a public safety reason that we want to get out of the region. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that is what you
That's to get
responded.
your PSAP back. If you're looking to go back to a single agency piece, a PSAP is a public safety answering point.
And I assume that standard is in this district agreement, in terms of if municipalities want out, for whatever reason, I mean, you know, it might not work out, and I know there's other regions available, that's all spelled out, right, in this district agreement, how we get in and how we get out,
It's
right?
typically a withdrawal clause.
Okay, and in terms of the voting, I know we would be town number 6, is that right in? Because you said there are 5 towns in now. Oh, how many are in right now?
Spencer's already signed.
Okay, Spencer's going to sign, so we would be number 7.
Correct.
Okay, so is there in this district, well, first of all, we need the district agreement, but is there a limit on how much the Board of Directors, how many towns they would limit in terms of the ceiling, or is it simply up to vote for the Board of Directors? In other words, because with each new town coming in, each individual town is giving up some of their autonomy, because now you need, you know, if you only have 5 towns and Sturbridge is one of them, or 2 towns, now you have a 50% vote. But if we get 20 towns in there, like, is there a limit written in the agreement, or is that all dependent upon how many towns you go to that would want in? That's like another question that I have. Is that written in the district agreement?
There is no ceiling.
There's no ceiling. Okay, so some of these, you said there are 32 regional centers, and you said some of them have a lot of towns.
Correct.
What would be considered a lot? Like, what is,
Well, Berkshire County, it was previously run by the Sheriff's Department out there, and there's 26 communities that are part of the regional center. The state police around here, Shelburne Falls, I want to say it's 26, 27. Northampton Control is a regional center run by the state police as well, same thing in the 20s. Out east, Holbrook has 13 communities. Neshoba Valley and Devons has, I want to say, 8 now.
okay, so it could get quite large.
It could, but I think part of that agreement too is it's not just the state telling you have to take them. It has to be a vote by the board.
I
So as a
understand
member of
that,
the board, you have
but
to
it's
accept
the
it.
individual, well, I guess we need to see the agreement. I guess there's 2 branches, one is the operational and one is the administrative, if my notes are correct?
Yes.
And so, which of those 2 branches would vote on the size of this center?
The administrative.
The administrators, so it's the town administrators and town managers
Yes.
that would vote on how big they want to get.
The operational, they just oversee the operations of the center and guide the policies and procedures of the center.
Okay, and votes like, oh, we want to increase the amount of paramedics, for example, that respond, or what are those kind of, the nuts and bolts, who makes those kind of decisions?
Any operational, the way your operation is currently run, paramedic-wise, police response, that's separate
Okay.
from the dispatch center. That's solely on the police chief and the fire chief. I don't know if Sturbridge has a fire department ambulance. It'd be solely on.
Okay, so you don't give those type of decision-making up?
Just
This
on
is-
policy on how
This is
to-
the dispatching.
Just dispatch.
So the amount of dispatchers are determined by the operational,
Admin board.
pardon?
The admin board.
The admin board in this district agreement?
Yep.
Okay.
Is there a staffing ratio?
Say that again.
Do you guys have a defined staffing ratio?
So with the current proposed model that we're looking at, we have approximately, I think it's 10 people on duty.
Well, but over how many, so what I'm talking about is one dispatcher for X thousand of people. So is there, or X miles of land, or whatever would be
Yeah.
appropriate?
Do I-
It's okay, and if you don't, that's.
There is a formula that we utilized from APCO. APCO retains, it's a nationwide calculator they utilize to properly staff a dispatch center, and that's
Okay.
in there.
But I'm very interested in what our chair just asked. You know, one dispatcher per how much population? Because I just would like to compare what we have now, one dispatcher per what we're responding to.
Here
Hold on.
per call volume.
Well, yeah,
might
but
be
these
the
are all,
way to
this
do
is
it.
all information that I
Yeah.
would think residents would want, because, you know, I've got to be very honest. I know the state's pushing us in that direction, and we were told that a few years back as well. And I know that, you know, it's got the, you know, blessing, if you will, of our 2 chiefs, but I also just, all we've ever gotten in this town is kudos for the response time with the ambulance and safety. And I understand there's going to be a problem with upgrade and, override and whatever. But we've never been told, right, that an ambulance didn't get there in time. Our response time has been excellent, so it's difficult to want to switch from a local, for me, to a regional.
That's a really interesting point.
Robin, I know you're
Yeah.
very much a proponent of this.
No, but I haven't, but wanted you to ask a
Okay,
question. Yes.
because we've never gotten any concern. It would be a bit easier for me if we were told, wow, that didn't happen fast enough. So I know it's expensive, but what we have right now does, in my opinion, work, at least from sitting here. We have not gotten a lot of negative feedback. So that makes me concerned. I personally would not want to see this regional center become 26 towns, because I feel like the larger the amount of communities that get involved, the less say Sturbridge has about its own dispatching.
If I could add, one critical point you brought up there, and that's response time, because that is probably the single most important thing I think that the public might think about. The mutual aid question comes in here in communication with our mutual partners, and if there's, I think I want to have the chiefs just address that response time question, if you don't mind, because we talked about this.
But the response time also, I'd like an answer to one dispatcher is handling how many people.
Well, let's
that would be
step
useful.
back, because before we get into more specifics here, I don't think we're personally, and and this, it makes sense to me. I'm not saying I'm against it, but we can pay to have the best dispatch in the world. If we want, if the town, we're not about ending money, obviously, but there is a point where this community could elect to staff and pay the top dollar, do X, Y, Z. There is probably a price point that exists. And probably not a logical one necessarily, but it does exist out there in some hypothetical amount. But what of the questions that Mary's asking are probably ones that aren't going to get answered tonight. They're symptoms of the fundamental questions, which is what's the charter of this organization? What are the bylaws? How do we what's the contract actually say? Because there's a lot of ways to skin dispatch, and what the framing is. I'm less concerned about the number of towns, as long as we have the right number of employees, because the ratio, because some of that stuff works. How does it interact with the state? I'm assuming, for example, in the Berkshires, the troopers are running those because those towns don't have a lot of cops. The troopers sort of fill in a lot of the gaps in that region. So how does this interact with the troopers? So if we're on, most of the time I'm at my house, if I call 911, it's the troopers. I don't get the Sturbridge Police Department unless the troopers go. So we're already have a delayed step in this town already. How do we work to get through these points of delay? Yeah, you can go.
So a couple of things. There are state standards that all centers need to meet anyways.
Sure.
Part of the NFPA standards for dispatch is 60 seconds for priority one.
Yeah.
We meet that. Currently our staff, which means that they only have 60 seconds to get out. We consider every medical a priority one. And we have no issues with our standards being met. Additionally, right now we have 3 people on 3 to 11s. We're going to be asking for a third person on for a day shift in the future. That way, when there is a call out, there's no need for forces, because that is something that we do at our center. Because the risk of dropping down to one person, we're not going to take that risk.
But you have to understand that the point I'm making isn't really about what's happening right now. It's about structurally what happens in the future.
So in the future, we're going to be moving to
I mean like, if what are the powers as defined under contract and under the under law as to how this goes forward, so we don't get left holding the bag, because it's nothing to do with anybody here. It's just we're not that big a town. None of these towns are that big a towns. Even together, we're not that big of a town, and it's very possible to get left holding the bag in that circumstance, where we just are delaying infrastructure investments and spending way more money. So it isn't. That's all those things you're saying are great, but it's not. It's kind of like a different point. It's like I believe it works. hearings. And so I think we have to get more information on it all. Does anybody have an issue with that?
We absolutely need to at least see this agreement that we're being asked to sign on to. You're asking for one more, what did you say?
Day shift dispatcher, so we would have 3 people.
Okay, so I agree with our chair, but just walk me through what you do to request another day. Who does it get presented to? What kind of vote? Is it a majority vote only?
It's gonna go to the
Is it a supermajority or?
So we run a report, APCO retains. Do you want to talk about that? We did a report to show that we are understaffed. So our additional person would be on day shift, and that gets voted in by our admin board. That being said, we haven't had any.
What voted in by your what?
The administrative board.
Okay.
So we would show them, all of the data that we have to show.
And it's a majority vote.
And how many are on the admin board?
Currently, right now, 5.
The town administrator.
All the
Town
town
administrator from each
administrators.
Yep. And it's a majority vote when that comes to the board.
So 3-2 would get your, what you wanted.
Yep.
If I could just make one
Sure, go ahead.
closing comment, and do you have more questions?
I just have a couple
Yeah.
more questions. Mary talked about the topography, and I know what you're referring to in terms of that. This doesn't take care of that problem
Yes, it
That's,
entirely?
does. We will not have a communications issue any longer.
Okay.
we're gonna cut down the hills.
Okay. All right, so that's one, I'll follow up with that particular thing. How many times have you gone to your admin board to request more staffing? And how many times, has it been granted or not granted? I'm just thinking, like, my only experience with, hospitals have regionalized big time, but, we have a Tantascwa region, we have a regional school system, and it's got some definite pros, but it also has some definite cons. I mean, Sturbridge has wanted things over the years, and other towns, because it wasn't in their best interest, voted it down. So even there, in terms of the school, it's different than if we had a Sturbridge High School, right? And so I'm just trying to get a sense of how often, do you get what you want in terms of staffing?
Sure. So the district itself is very new. So the district went into place, I think, roughly around March of this year. So the
Oh, I didn't
district
realize
side-
it was that new. Okay.
So this will be our first time bringing the request to the district board in this district. Prior to that, our request would have to go to the town administrator of Rutland due to the host community agreement. And prior instances, I think we went to them twice. That was for deputy's position as well as one additional full-timer on 2 separate occasions, with the justification supplied with that and both approved. This will be our first time going to the admin board for a request.
But the funds there's this certain amount of funds coming from the municipalities, but a large amount of those funds are coming from the state, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So it's a little distinct. So you're probably not going to really get an answer to that question, Mary, as to a past practice, because it hasn't been budgeted in the same way. So this is a distinct model. So are there other comparative towns that have utilized the structure that we're utilizing going forward? And what has the resource struggle been like in those places to get people approved and things of that nature? Is it?
Sure, I can speak a little bit to that. So a couple of things, just back to your question about the staffing levels, where you have to kind of compare it, like you say, to the current operation, right? And no one is bashing or slanting. I know a lot of them. They're fantastic people. And on the state side, you're right, we are going to continue to support, even if you continue to remain a single individual PSAP. There is no mandate to go regional. I'm not here today to say you have to do something by January 1st. That's not the case. We are going to continue to support the single PSAPs much as we do the regional PSAPs. But I was a dispatcher for 20 years, and I remember being the only person on the desk taking those calls, taking those 911 calls, where back in the day, when I showing my age, when I first started, we didn't give CPR instructions. We didn't do the EMD. We didn't have to do that. We literally told the ambulance and said, help's on the way, and you hung up. Lots changed in 20 years, thankfully. Thank goodness a lot has changed. So you have to kind of compare it to where we are today, where is that the level of response that that's not the level of response. Through our standards, through our guidance, that's not the level of response. But having that sole dispatcher still now have to multitask and kind of contrast all the different operating calls and calls for service are only going up, right? So now, as Director Moriarty is talking about, he's going to have, the model suggested is 10 dispatchers doing various roles, dispatch, call taking throughout the center. So 10 is a lot better than 1. And again, if the infrastructure needs to build up, where you need more personnel, where you need those additional staff, there is an avenue. There is the support from the state, as opposed to now, that support is still there from the state, but you're right. It's hard to compete in a single individual PSEP with a regional. You see the regionals talking about the CBAs and the collective bargaining units, where the pay is often a lot better, the benefits are a lot better, the professional growth is a lot better, because there is that room for growth. You can become a supervisor, you can become a director, a deputy director, an operations manager. So to your question, sir, about bringing it in, I think you're seeing, again, it's a nationwide trend, right?
I don't merit to serve, but I appreciate what you're saying. I guess what two sort of things as we're going through it. If there's specific questions, that's fine, but I feel like we probably want to get more information and then do all of our questions in one time, just as appreciate everybody's time. But Mary Lou, you've been, we've been chatty on this side.
I'm used to it, okay?
So what are your thoughts?
I would like to see the agreement, but barring any issues with that, I think that it's more important that we move forward with this.
Yeah.
Because being on the other end of it, I know what it's like to be somewhere and not be able to communicate with dispatch.
Yeah.
And it can be scary, it could be life-threatening.
Yeah.
But I would like to see the agreement, but my first impulse is to say that I think we should go with it.
No, that makes sense.
If I could just very quickly
Sure.
in closing, Mary, you made a comment, I'm a big proponent of this. I want to be very clear about something. I have not in the past been a proponent of regionalizing dispatch, and I am now in this particular model. And I want to make that distinction. It's not like I'm not a big believer in regionalization. I love municipal government for a reason, and that's what I do. This is a unique situation with the way the direction dispatch has gone, the number of calls that we have come in. If we have 1 or 2 person on a desk and we have a massive crisis in town, that 1 or 2 person is under an inordinate amount of stress. Not to mention, they're cross-training now, they're working on both the police and fire dispatching part of it. In this center, that critical call comes in the middle of Sturbridge from a Sturbridge police officer or from a Sturbridge resident to dispatch. In a center like this, I have a fire dispatcher trained there that's going to jump in, a police dispatcher trained who's going to jump in, and those other 3 or 4 who might not have another call coming in at that moment are going to jump in. And the reality is, if another call comes in to our dispatch when something critical is going on, and we've got 1 or 2 dispatchers on, we're short-staffed. 2 calls coming in at once, isn't that unheard of in a town this size? We're not a big town, but we're a very busy small town, and we pretty much double our population during certain times. So I want to make it clear why I am such a proponent of this. Do I like saving $7 million? Sure, but to Jamie's point, if money wasn't an option, if we had all the money in the world, I would still be sitting here right now saying, I think this is a better public safety option. So I just want to make that really clear.
Let me just ask you this then. You said how is this model unique? How is this model unique? Not our circumstances that, we could have 2 calls come in, but you said this particular model. How does this model differ from other regionalization models? And why is the way you're doing it superior to the other models? Because I don't know what other models look like. So what makes this unique?
I think when they talk about the model, it's again that district model. So in Massachusetts, there are 2 different models of regionalization. There's the hosted model, which Rutland used to be through the town of Rutland, and then the district model. The district is that independent body, the independent board. So 6 months ago, if you had this conversation with Rutland, it would have been through the town of Rutland, town administrator, and that person would have made the decisions. Now it's the district model. After meeting with this group, Rutland determined to change models to go from the hosted to the district. So now everyone has a seat at the table. All communities have a say in how their operations are. So when we talk about the model, that's what
Those
it
are
is.
your 2 basic models, the host and the district. And with a host, you're part of the region, but there's only the host town that makes the
They don't
decisions.
have the say, correct.
Okay, thank you.
That was why early back, I think Sturbridge felt like, well, if we were going to do this, we wanted to be the host because we didn't want to lose that And he
Well,
said,
even that other model, though, everybody was going to have a say, so I don't know. Even the other model.
But let's step back from it. So there is nothing illogical about what's being said. I have seen all of these systems work within the details, and they work within how they grow and how they're held accountable. Where, the comparable thing is this is very similar to how retirement systems work. And we just had to pay 18% to the Worcester County Retirement Board, even though allegedly that they fixed all those laws in 2008, but yet they didn't. So it's not necessarily a point of distrust, and I appreciate all of the Robin's wise counsel on it, but it is not the type of decision we're gonna rush into, because it's just, we're not afraid to make a good decision here, but we're also not going to we're going to put one foot in front of the other in a logical way. So, what's up, Chief?
Yeah, I just want to say I respect the due diligence part of this, but I just want to make a point to note that the longer we wait, the more our current dispatchers will be put at a disadvantage in the region, because other towns are in the process of taking these votes as well as you are. So,
Well, again,
due diligence, I'm not questioning that
I
at all.
don't want to really jump on you, Chief, but I think that's kind of a little forceful.
Well, I don't mean it to be forceful,
we just want to protect our
Merely-
staff.
The point is,
they're looking out for our current
we
employees.
appreciate that, and we would also say that if the model is such as being presented, it is that of opportunity, and people will be found places where they get expenditures made. And I think that part of our desire to do this will be to make sure our dispatches are taken care of, and that for me is frankly something I'm considering in voting it, because if there is a chance that I'm taking a vote and they're not going to have jobs, I'm going to slow walk that thing. So I would ask that to make it clear that as a point of our engagement on this is an understanding that our staff is going to be taken care of, and I think that and that within how public safety staffing is presently operating, that there would be ample opportunity for everybody. And so the body, and this isn't a response to you, Chief, this is to them, that our folks should be taken care of. We care about them. They've taken care of our community, and that we're taking we're larger than most of these towns, and we're certainly more well-known than most of these towns, and that this point of engagement is, frankly, to me, fairly dependent on making sure our people have a staffing regardless of when we vote for it, because that's a fake deadline. So just please hear me on that. I understand that I don't need a response.
No.
But I feel very strongly about that, and that's.
I can,
Yeah.
Can I just ask one more? So when we get the district agreement, right, that's probably going to create more, we might have questions on it, right? So I can't not have a question on something I didn't see yet. I can't say I won't have a question on it. So let me,
She's
right?
gonna have a question.
Well, no, I mean, like, they're asking, think about it.
Bring
like,
it to you guys.
I mean, I don't know. So is this the kind of agreement, like, who drafted this? Let's say there's a certain provision and we're like, you know what? We would prefer this. This isn't a give and take, this contract, right? This is just sign it. Like, I guess I'm asking that. Like, who drafted this district agreement?
so the 5 current communities that established the district were the ones that drafted it with legals.
With your own
advice.
legal counsel.
Yeah.
So we're signing, and I'm not saying this is good or bad, but we're signing on to an agreement that's already been written by your counsels.
Yeah.
So my question is, like, if we see something that, we would like changed, maybe it has to do with the way employment decisions are made and how many of our people get in. Is there give and take, or do we sign it as?
Let's just stop there, because this is getting to technical points, and that the reality of it is everything gets worked out at a point in time, and we're not going to start to get into, these are legal determinations. We don't even have the facts to have the whole conversation.
Nobody else.
Yeah.
Now, Jamie,
Yeah.
are we at the point where we've got the background, we asked for
We have to
a
follow.
copy of this and a copy of the agreement, then we can meet again?
Correct, and I think, and then we need, we'll follow up with Robin, we need whatever the agreements are, an analysis of whatever our statutory rights are, whatever, just flesh it out, the basics. I don't think it's not I'm really difficult to sell a car to too, so don't, so it's just.
I got a car.
No, you just got a Charlie. But but all right, so I think that's enough for now, unless if there's something that can't wait with additional
Until we
information.
get more information.
Yeah. So great, thank you all, we really appreciate it. We're not trying to be difficult, we're just trying to be careful, you know?
Have a good night.
Yeah, drive safe. Okay. All right, I'm going to action item E, I'm going to make a motion to improve the inclusion of alternate dates of August 27th and 28th for a one-day liquor license for Altruist Brewing Company for the concerts on the Common that were changed by rain delay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? And one abstention? All right. All right, and I'm going to make a motion to accept with our thanks the resignation of Nicole Dajrouge from the Police Department effective June 10th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Great. All right, old business. I owe you guys the TA performance evaluation so we can set up a retreat, so that is on me, just work like crazy. I have no other old business. Mary Blanchard?
No old business.
Mary Dowling?
I apologize if I don't remember the date, but did you have the meeting with the superintendent of schools?
I did,
Didn't you get
I sent a memo.
Oh, you did? I didn't check. This past week, or was it?
Last week.
Last week, so I was
Yeah.
on vacation. I
Oh,
think.
yeah, that would be last week.
This past week.
Yeah.
Okay, like I
You should have a
said,
memo when you're
I was
out.
on vacation, so I didn't check.
And I have some follow-up to do from that and then do a full report after. but I have
Okay,
a memo.
and then my only other old business is, have you met with Yankee Spirits about their?
I have a memo, I think, in this packet on Keep
Yes.
Sturbridge Beautiful.
Okay, all right, thank
Yep,
you.
there's a memo in there on that as well.
Great, that's it.
Mary Lou? All right, new business, Mary Lou. New business, Mary Dowling.
No.
Mary Blanchard.
No, Fran, I like your new staple. I've never seen it before.
Oh, the crinkle?
The crinkle.
That's- All right, and I have no new business myself. Correspondence, I don't think there was any, was there?
I don't think so.
Nope. And then moving to,
No, it was just,
I don't think there's anything. And then going to the meeting minutes. Do we have any edits to the June 6, 2022 minutes? Anybody? Do we have a motion to approve the June 6,
motion
2022?
to approve the minutes as printed.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Great. Moving on. The February 29th, 2024, Mary Lou and I were absent, apparently.
Yeah, but I have, on the back page, the motion to adjourn said it was seconded by me, but I wasn't here.
We'll go back and listen. Yeah.
I mean, it was probably me because Chase was remote. I mean,
Yeah.
so I will say that I mean, I don't think you should have to go back and look, but if you, my guess is that I seconded it just because I seconded what was above.
Okay. We're gonna amend it to say the second page to have it say Mary Dowling instead of Mary Lou Volpe. And with those amendments, do we have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Oh, we don't have enough votes for them.
Oh, that's right, because
Yeah,
it's
Chase
just,
isn't here. All right, we have to table those. Moving to the June 3rd, 2024 meeting. Do we have any amendments to the motion? I mean, to the minutes? Any? Do we have a motion to approve them as written?
I'm just hesitating because yeah, I guess I don't have a problem. I mean, the only thing I was looking at is discussion of changing the name of the St. Anne's water tank is ongoing. I don't remember, but I thought there was a lot more discussion than just changing the name, but it might not have been that meeting since it's a year ago, I don't know.
We did have a meeting on changing the name specifically because the church had asked us to.
Yeah, but then that was,
Yeah.
that's fine. That was the tip of the iceberg
Yeah,
in
but then we
terms
had a
of,
separate meeting on the other
on the
stuff, I
clean,
think.
on
Yeah.
the road?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have a problem with it then.
So do we have a motion to approve them as written?
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all those in favor? All right, moving to the August 4th, 2025 minutes. Do we have any edits? All right, do we have a motion to approve them as written?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right. And with that, citizen forum, Charlie, got anything for us? All right. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?